Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder for tonight, the 22nd of April 2022. I declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. Council would like to show its respect and acknowledge all of the traditional custodians on the land in which we meet and show our respects to elders past and present. Our opening prayer tonight, councillors, Pastor Cherie Hughes. Pastor, if you'd like to come forward, come right up to the front. Come and stand next to me. Councillors and those in the gallery, please stand. Thank you, Pastor.
Awesome. Thank you, Lord. We just come before you tonight. We ask that you would bring wisdom to us as we speak about things that concern our city and our region. We thank you. We live in a blessed nation and we live in a blessed region, and we ask for your wisdom today as we discuss things and go about this night. Lord, I pray that you would just be with each one. I pray a blessing over every household here as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Bless
Pastor.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Please be seated. Councillors, I note that, and for those watching the live stream, I have to get a little closer to the Director of Development and Growth this evening because my mic is not working. Hello, Director. Hi, I'll now read the disclaimer to those who are present this evening. Please note this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on the Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meeting policy, which can be viewed on Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in this agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the Council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of Council's decision. I move to attendance for this evening. Just a little bit of furniture adjustment tonight, folks. In attendance, myself, the Deputy Mayor, Kirsty Della, Councillor Bodica, Councillor Winner, Councillor Johnson, Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Brownlee is not with us this evening, Councillor Turner is here, Councillor Viskovich is here. Acting for the CEO this evening in the role is the Director of Development and Growth, Alex Weiss. Also joining us, our Director of Community Development, Mayor Hicks, Director of Corporate and Commercial, Glenda Abraham, Director of Engineering, Louis Camporelli. Also joined this evening by our governance staff, Francis Liston, who's our Executive Manager of Governance and Risk Services, Governance Officer Jamie Boys, and IT Service Delivery Officer Sashi Kakala. No visitors officially for this evening, 2 in the gallery, one press, and an apology from the CEO, Andrew Bryan, was received this afternoon. A leave of absence for no councillors at this point in time. Item 5, response to previous public questions taken on notice, there is nil. Item 6, public access and public question time. Councillors, we have had a request for public question time. However, I have, based on the fact that the item up for discussion is not suitable for public question time, it is due to the fact that questions must relate to the agenda item of the particular meeting or from previous minutes from ordinary council meetings. I will not be accepting the public question time, the public questions tonight for question time. However, I will be accepting them for public access. So we still get to hear from Sharon Dimer, who put a question in. Ms. Dimer here, please make your way forward to the microphone. You have 3 minutes as addressed to Council. Thank you. As addressed to Council. Your particular items, acknowledgement of royal assent and alluvial native title and native title traditional owners is what you have placed on your question time. I also do note that obviously at 3 minutes, comments, statements and ideas can be presented. Questions are not permitted. However, you do have 3 minutes to address council, so feel free.
Thank you, Glenn. As I know you from young, can't address you as Mayor, but anyway, good evening, council members, deputies, Deputy Mayor and etc. My name is Sharon Dimer. I'm actually a local woman. I've been here for 60 years. I'm an elder. I'm also just wanting to acknowledge my acknowledge my royal ascent, being the living crown sovereign tribal matriarch to the descendant of the Gullah tribe, people of fire. The inheritance of King Tickenbutt from the Goldfields Esperance region, being Morning Star Queen. I also acknowledge my allodial title, being the living crown sovereign tribal patriarch, the living inheritance to King Jiddu from the western and central of Uluru Yalara, Australia. My tribal name is Murrumalpini King. I'm also the descendant from the Dalgadara tribe, being sovereignty and allodial. So I've just come here to address and to acknowledge that you have actually had a royal family here for a long time. It's now time that I stand up and take where my position is. In the last 4 months, I've been attacked by people in the council and ex-council members. I'm just bouncing back. I've had 4 bouts of witchcraft hit me. So now I'm coming in and I'm addressing my allodial title and royal ascent. This is my position and this is where I belong. We're also going through native title in the last 8 to 9 years. As you're aware, we're dealing with native title and the false fabrication and lies of these claimant groups are coming in. There's 2 of us are just sitting here. We're going through the whole process. 9 years, we know what's going on. There's a lot of fraudulence, a lot of fabrication, a lot of lies, what's going on in the federal court. Therefore, they're under actually high treason. So, we've also notified 3 acts, the Satanic Act, the Royal Ascent Act 1973 and the Land Acquisition Act 1974. The Satanic Act, we was wondering where it was. It actually is the Australian Constitution Act 1901 that we are bounded under every day under the government. I'm also acknowledging the Royal Assent that Queen Elizabeth stated in 1973, if they acknowledge the Royal Assent, the land will automatically be given back. Hello, Terence. Therefore, I'm acknowledging the whole council members and the deputy and the mayor that I'm claiming my royal assent and my allodial title back. Therefore, Queen Elizabeth stated in the Australian Government Gazette 1972 that if they acknowledge the royal assent, the land would automatically be given back. I'm here to take my land back, please. Now, I've actually got cards here that I would like to give to you and show you that I am fair dinkum of what I'm saying. These cards are actually my titles and who are my positions. So I will just hand these out.
Can we just grab the governance officer will take care of that for you, Ms. Dimer. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation this evening. Is there anything that you wish to summarise with?
Sorry?
Is there anything you wish to summarise with? Yep.
So, look, thank you very much for listening to what we have to say. It's been a long time coming that I've had the courage to stand up and address you people, to take back and address my royal assent and my allodial title. Therefore, I have acknowledged you as government employees about my royal assent and my allodial title under Queen Elizabeth, who stated on the Australian Government Gazette, the Satanic Act 1972, the Royal Assent Act 1973 and the Land Acquisition Act 1974. Please take into consideration, she said, if they acknowledge the royal assent, the land will automatically be given back. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it. And it was nice meeting you all. Cheers.
Thank you, Ms. Dimer. Councillors, we move on to the next item of our agenda this evening. Petitions, deputations and presentations, there are nil. Notations of interest this evening as presented at last week's agenda briefing. Item 8.1, interest affecting impartiality. This evening the Deputy Mayor has declared an impartiality interest in 15.2.1, that's sponsorship of the Psy Classic. She's a participant in the Community Challenge. Item 8.2, financial interest for the Local Government Act section 5.60A. I have declared a financial interest in item 15.25 as Mayor Glenn Wilson. A change of use to childcare premises as I have children in the childcare facility which is owned by the applicant or another facility owned by the applicant. Also, Councillor Carla Viskovich has a financial interest in item 1543, tender for staff housing design and construction project, as the business applying for the tender is a client. The CEO, even though he's not here this evening, does declare an interest, a financial interest, in relation to items 14.31, 14.32, 14.33 and 17.1. No proximity interest this evening. Applications, councillors, any other interests this evening? Thank you. Applications for leave of absence, councillors. Are there any applications for leave of absence? Thank you. No one application for a leave of absence from myself, Mayor Glenn Wilson, from the 3rd of June 2024 to the 11th of June 2024, leave with family. Can I please have a mover for that? Thank you. Councillor Bodica moving that. Seconded, Councillor O'Donnell. Any discussion, councillors? No? Thank you. Carried 8-0. Item 10, please excuse me as I shuffle some paper, councillors, is announcements by the person presiding without discussion. As you note, this was sent through to you a little earlier than previously has been done. Mayoral announcements for the particular period. Noting the 26th of the 3rd, and councillors, you'll have a copy, as a note for the camera as well. A visit to Hannon's Primary School, which also contained a classroom featuring Councillor Viskovich's young fella. These are presented to you this evening as law proposals for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and as you flip through them, some of the schools must have a gaming lounge. Children at school should be allowed to take their shoes off in class. On Wednesdays, you can draw differently at school. And some wonderful pieces there from Hannon's Primary School, from the Year 4 class there, and may I thank their teachers for the opportunity. All students must learn sign languages at school. I think there's a couple of things in there that we could probably pursue with other details. Council's also a busy month. We had several meetings with ministers, including the Deputy Premier, meetings with police on a couple of occasions. I attended the WA Police Regional Superintendents Conference. Extremely positive feedback from all of the superintendents who were there on the role that the city is playing and what the city is progressing with in relation to relationships with police. We had a cake being cut for the 25th birthday celebrations for the Goldfields Oasis. We had the Kids Fest. Can I say to our staff, what an excellent effort with Kids Fest. Over 5,000 people on the Sunday, over 1,000 people on the Saturday. Obviously the rain played a bit of a role in that one, and well done to our staff for Kids Fest. And finally, which we will discuss, councillors, at the end of this evening's meeting after we close off, a visit to Junjunjara on Saturday. Extremely enlightening, some consultation and some conversations with the community there, and may I thank the Junjunjara community for the opportunity to visit. Councillors, any questions on those particular announcements? Noting the Deputy Mayor represented on a couple of occasions, including the launch of the 2 exhibitions on the 5th of April. We also have Councillor Turner representing Council at the Kalgoorlie Dawn Service for the Kalgoorlie RSL, and several other councillors no doubt in attendance as well. At both Dawn Services, Kalgoorlie and Boulder. No further questions. Councillors, can I have a motion to suspend Section 9.1 of the Standing Orders Local Law 2013 that requires members of council to rise to speak be suspended? Moved, Councillor O'Donnell. Seconded, Councillor Winner. Discussion, councillors? No? We'd like to sit down tonight? Excellent. Thank you. Carried 8-0. Confirmation of minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of March be confirmed as a true record. May I have a mover for the minutes being confirmed, please? Councillor O'Donnell moved. Seconder for that item. For the minutes, thank you, Councillor Winner. No discussion, councillors. No dissent. Carried 8-0. Motions of which previous notice has been given, there are nil. Councillors, we do have some urgent business which can be done either by the person presiding or by decision. I do prefer to do it by decision. Can I have 13.1 be that council move to accept 3 late items this evening? They are titled 13.2 attendance at the AHICE conference, 13.3 airport apron repairs budget amendment, and 13.4 Transaccess Road emergency funding budget amendment. May I please have a mover of that? Councillor Turner moves, seconded Councillor O'Donnell. No discussion. Carried 8-0. Allows us now to consider item 13.2, attendance at the Australasian Hotel Industry Conference and Exhibition. This item comes to us after a briefing last week from the developer of our golf course resort and also Hilton Resorts as well. Councillors, noting that the officer recommendation is point 3, approving the attendance of the Director of Corporate and Commercial and also a councillor. I have not received a nomination for a councillor to attend Adelaide next week. Do I note a nomination, Councillor Turner? Sure. So Councillor Turner is the nomination. Is there any other further nominations? Do we need to pull marbles? Thank you. So therefore, the officer recommendation states Councillor Turner will be in that particular role. Councillor Turner, do you wish to move that motion? Thank you. Moved by the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Seconder, Councillor Bodica. Discussion, Deputy Mayor? Go ahead. Oh, I'll wait for the camera.
Thank you. After hearing from our expressions of interest, I think this is an integral part of city officers and council getting a really good understanding of what the developers are looking at potentially utilising. And I think it would be great to be able to see this firsthand and get a better understanding of what fabrications are going to be used. So I'd encourage other elected members to support this motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bodica, wish to speak?
No, I pretty much agree with what the Deputy Mayor said. I think it's a really essential meeting that we go to. I think that Councillor Turner's a really good person to be able to go and give us the information and bring that back to us. And yeah, I think that we should support it too.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be speaking and voting in favour of this motion tonight. I think this is a particular topic that's been going on for over a decade now, and we're getting to that pointy end, so it's absolutely critical that we as a local government are looking at the best possible bang for buck for our community and ensuring that the concepts and ideas being proposed to us as a council are being considered and viewed and understood very clearly. So I commend the officer's recommendation on this one. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for our staff and council to get a better and clearer understanding of what is being proposed and get a clearer picture of the best path forward for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? No other further commentary. Remover has the right of reply. No. No dissent. Carried 8-0. And inserting Councillor Turner to attend with the Director of Corporate and Commercial to the conference, and myself and the CEO will also be attending site visits at that time as well, as noted in that officer recommendation. Councillors, 13.3, Airport Apron Repairs Budget Amendment. Noting the information that has been provided, there is confidential information regarding into that. However, this evening the officer recommendation is that council approve a budget amendment for emergency funding, which has come to light as of Friday last week. Do we have a mover for item 13.3? Councillor Johnson moving. Seconded, Councillor Winner. Councillor Johnson wish to speak? Councillor Winner wish to speak? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll keep this one brief. Look, it's one of those items that while we aren't completely prepared and expecting for, things do change and move very, very quickly. And I do commend the officer and the staff of the airport for identifying an area for an improvement and to allow us to be able to tap into that emergency funding to get the works done immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just two questions, if I could ask. No.
Questions? No.
Point of
not taken.
clarification.
But personal explanation required?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't
Personal explanation, go ahead.
Thank you. I couldn't find one on here. A, what caused this? And B, how long was it since it last, this was done?
Cause unknown,
Before the-
still under investigation, and it was brought to the attention of staff, as mentioned, Thursday, Friday last week.
It's been, and one more just
More personal explanation?
personal explanation. I haven't come across that one. Thank you. When did we last do seal that section? Has it been quite a long time?
I believe the seal was completed as part of our projects about 12 to 18 months ago.
Wow.
Over that, so the last reseal that we had in terms of the top coat that was applied.
All right, thank you.
No further personal explanations required?
One more? Just one.
I believe you're only meant to have one.
Is that the life expectancy of when they did do that around 12 to 18 months ago?
There'll be a report into that.
Oh, thank you.
Councillors, any further movers? Sorry, not movers. We've already got a mover and a seconder. Speaker for, speaker against. Mover has the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to, if I may, the top seal, this is obviously pavement collapse. The top seal probably had nothing to do with it. So just in this regard, the airport is an asset to the city, and we're going to have this from time to time, and so especially on Bay 2 at the airport, that's one of our main bays. So hopefully all councillors do support this, and moving forward with our new development out there, we're going to probably see a lot more work done airside, and that's only an asset to this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. No dissent to item 13.3. Carried unanimously. 8-0. 13.4, Trans-Access Road Emergency Funding. Council is also noting that the details for this came through late last week as well from the federal and the state government and their collaboration on declaring this an opportunity for emergency funding. So we thank that collaboration because it wasn't declared an emergency disaster, much needed in our north part of the goldfields as much as the city. Councillor Turner. Moving it. Seconding. Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Turner.
So firstly, we never like to see something like this occur, but as you said, it's a natural disaster. What I do want to do is I do want to commend both the state and federal governments for working together to get this, because otherwise this falls to the local government and we would bear all of the costs rather than the first portion of it. So I do want to mention in that motion, because often up north we see these natural disasters and they're very quick to react in the northern parts of Australia, quite often not in the southern parts. Our trans-access roads and our rail line and our air highway we've found are integral to us. So I just want to make note that on this occasion they've come to the party, and it's so important as a city and our ratepayers to not have to bear all that cost and have access to that.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Johnson, can I get you to turn your mic off, please? Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with Councillor Turner. I've travelled the Trans-Access Road numerous times in my nearly 40 years here in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and many times after torrential rains, and that the roads 6 months later are still long trenches where trucks have driven over and a hazard. So it's good that this will be rectified, and those photos there, the amount of water that hit that, I've never come across that in my time. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Turner? No. No dissent, councillors, for 13.4 taken. Thank you, carried unanimously. Sorry, Councillor Winner, was that? No, issuing a fly. Just keeping me on my game. Carried 8-0. Councillors, reports of committees was not presented last week. We had a CEO review committee which took place on the 17th of April. You'll note that these particular resolutions were by those two in attendance in a voting capacity in Councillor Viskovich and myself, noting also that Councillor Turner and the Deputy Mayor also attended in an observational capacity. Item 14.1.1 is the CEO performance review. That is as presented, noting the committee recommendation. Councillors to move that particular recommendation. Moved Councillor Viskovich, seconding the CEO performance review and the CEO KPIs. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Viskovich, discussion? No. Councillor Turner, discussion?
I will say something. So, just in moving this, I think it's very important that when we have our employees, and the CEO actually is the only employee that the councillors actually employ, I think it's important that the community takes note that the rest of our council employees fall under his responsibilities. So he has a huge role. He also carries the liability of our city. So it was really interesting to sit through this and observe it and see what KPIs that had been reached and the excellent job he had done, and also to see that last year the CEO, I'd like to make note, did not receive a pay rise as we were in the middle of doing a EBA with our employees. So he was very mindful of that didn't that he wasn't remunerated further while we were still working with our employees. So I'd like that to be put on the public record. And say that I think that he's worked very hard and he's had a very challenging, I think, last 6 months with our power outages, various issues, antisocial behaviours that have been brought up, which I think would have been challenging for any CEO, and it worked extremely long hours dealing with that. And I feel that the council's moving forward in a very positive way under his leadership.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? The mover has the right of reply. No, Councillor Viskovich, not taken. No dissent, councillors earmarked. Thank you, carried. 14.1.1 is carried unanimously. 14.1.2, a research project, antisocial behaviour, transitional homelessness. No, Council, note the committee's recommendation as presented. Mover for the recommendation. Councillor Turner, moving. Seconder, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner, wish to speak?
Yeah, so this is another example of the CEO being proactive rather than reactive. We know that over the summer months particularly we were challenged with a lot of visitors to our city, and a lot of the behaviours that were resulting was that quite simply they had nowhere to go. There was nowhere for them to stay. There was no places around, and the work he's put into this, into going to research this is something that's being faced throughout regional Australia, and the work he's put into it to look into it and do some work on it, it's very important, and I'm fully supportive of him being proactive rather than reactive, so we can work towards better outcomes in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to echo the sentiments put forward by Councillor Turner. I think this is a fantastic recommendation being put forward from the officer and the committee. I'd love to see this extended out in due course to look at all homelessness for our city as a whole. So I believe that's an area that we consistently, much like other locations, need to continue to look at work. But I agree this is a fantastic starting point, and it's a starting point that we continue to work with our more remote communities and our neighbouring shires to come up with a collaborative solution to ensure that people are provided with support, care and essential services regardless of where they are, and people have the freedom still to come and go as they please and know that they are going to be safe. So I think this is a great stepping stone to get it going, and gives a bit of a blueprint and understanding of where we're at, while also then having a document that we can start that conversation with our neighbours as well.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for, before the mover has the right of reply, may I commend the CEO in this particular research project. We've taken a strong advocacy role in this space, in particular in the last 6 months. The CEO has driven that internally, but now this is an opportunity to drive it externally. As you'll note, there are several locations that the CEO is considering as part of this particular project. Those locations are areas that have been affected by antisocial behaviour and transitional homelessness. The CEO is not with us tonight because he's actually on the Homelessness Committee for the state, and his role is to be meeting tomorrow morning. So not only is he taking that role for ourselves here for the city, but he's also taking that role across the state as the only regional representative on that committee. So I commend the CEO for the report, the project that he's put forward for this. May it be also, as mentioned by Councillor Winner as well, a stepping stone to the future, and may the city take a very strong leadership role in this particular space, because at times it feels like no one else does. Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I'd like to echo those comments because quite often these things, whilst they may be other level of government's responsibility, and other level of governments will quite often give funding, they are left to the local government to drive. So if we can be a driver in this, if we can be a leader in this, it can only benefit our city's residents, our city's businesses and our city's visitors.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. No dissent recorded for 14.1.2. Thank you, councillors. Carried 8-0. Item 14.1.3, Department Review Update. Councillors noting the committee update and recommendation. Mover for the committee update or recommendation. Moved Councillor Winner, seconded Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Winner, no discussion. Councillor O'Donnell, no discussion. Speaker for, speaker against. Before the mover has a right of reply. This, councillors, is a very important piece of paper that was delivered to the city. It is an update from the department, which we attracted the attention of through previous instances. We note in the report now that the department have considered that the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder is progressing forward in a very positive nature, and no longer do we feel or no longer do we see that the department is looking to the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and to review our operations as they have done in certain aspects. We also note that we invite the CEO will invite Tim Fraser from the department to meet with council. I think that's extremely beneficial, very proactive by the city. There are a lot of factors to why the city found itself under review with the department. However, it's very pleasing to see that those action items have been dealt with by the CEO and through his particular channels as well. Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Winner, not taken. Thank you, councillors. Any dissent? No dissent. Carried. 8-0. Councillors, 14.1.4 forms 17.1 as part of your confidentials. So that'll come up during your confidential. So there is 14.1.4 to consider. All right, we move on to our next reports of officers. We do have an en bloc. Councillors, part of the en bloc this evening is 15.1.1, which is our so far. 15.1.2, which is our financial reports. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Excellent. 15.1.3 has been pulled this evening by the CEO. The deadline for that particular report has been extended. He'd like to spend some more time on it. 15.1.6 is part of the en bloc. 15.2.2 is part of the en bloc. 15.4.2 is also part of the en bloc. And governance, have I missed anything? No, all covered, just for your recommendation. Can I have a mover of that particular item? Before I do, I note that 15.1.4 is part of the en bloc. 15.1.4 is the Salary and Allowances Tribunal, noting their recommendation for the city via Salaries and Allowances Tribunal with a 4% increase. Do I have a mover for the en bloc? Deputy Mayor moves, seconded Councillor Viskovich. No discussion required. No dissent. Carried 8-0 for those items. Councillors, 15.1.5 was not part of the en bloc because you were just presented with those items this evening. May I have a mover to accept 15.1.5, and that is the review of regional telecommunications in WA. That was pulled from the en bloc because we didn't receive the report in time. Moved by Councillor Turner. Seconder, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner.
So through the Mayor, once again, I would like to commend the CEO for the work he's put, and also our officers, for the work they've put into this with very short notice. It's very important that we put a submission into this, especially given what happened during our power outages and how we were left very lacking. I would be very disappointed if other regional local governments have not taken the opportunity to do this. However, that they may be through a lack of resources or timing. So this is such an important An important item to get out, an important submission so that we're included in this. The outages that we suffered with our mobile communications severely impacted people being able to get the messages of what was happening and caused a lot of confusion in our city, a lot of angst for different departments that were doing their very best, and probably criticism of some people that were working very hard. The fact that the power was restored relatively quickly, as it turns out, the criticism of that was impacted because of our lack of mobile networks. I feel that was we were found to be extremely lacking. So I thank the CEO for pulling this submission together.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Again, I'd just like to echo the comments from Councillor Turner. I think this is a absolutely critical piece of work that needs to be submitted on behalf of our city. We were very, very fortunate during this period of time not to have a fatality, given some of the seriousness and the lack of communication and power options that we had. There was a couple of grey areas there. But we did get through, as it's well noted, so this is a great opportunity for us to reflect and bring about some change in collaboration with state and hopefully federal government as well.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against, Speaker for, Councillor Bodica.
I totally agree with Councillor Turner and Councillor Winner on this, because it's really important that we do have smooth access to these services. Because, the last thing we want to do is have another issue like we had when the power outage happened, which did impact on many businesses, whereas businesses weren't actually even able to claim on some of their insurances as a result of it. So I think the quicker that we get onto this, the better. And it's a crucial, critical item as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against, Speaker for, Speaker against. Just before the mover has the right of reply, can I review the submission that we're putting in, noting obviously the 2024 instance where it was extremely difficult for our residents to contact family and friends outside of the city, let alone try and access emergency services. We were very heavily reliant, as we are in this modern age, on our mobile telecommunications, and as pointed out, from 2017 a lot has changed. I don't even think Netflix was around as popular in 2017 as what it is now, nor was getting on Facebook to get your information as opposed to traditional media. However, there are several disruptions that we continually face. The way in which the telecommunications companies service the city from a backup and from an emergency point of view is extremely poor. We saw that firsthand in January, and I commend the CEO and staff on putting this review together, and also the nomination tonight, the recommendation tonight from Councillor Turner. Councillor Turner, do you wish to reply?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks for the comments of Councillor Winner, Councillor Bodica and yourself. I'd also like to note that during this, our own communications, fortunately we had backup systems that had been put in place by the city. If we hadn't have had those systems in place, we actually became the hub for emergency services. DFS set up at the city because they were challenged themselves. Every agency came and utilised the city because they were also challenged themselves and underprepared. So it's not only important here, it's also important to note that even our own councillors couldn't get information. So there was criticism made when we were in exactly the same position. To the Mayor, I'd like to make special note that during that time you and yourself and the CEO pulled the LEMAC together under challenging circumstances of also not being able to contact those committee members, and had to almost individually go and get them and notify them. So I'd like that noted, that we were also challenged in that way. And I note that all our councillors ended up with printed snail information that was delivered that night, so that we could also be informed and come to a meeting. So it challenged all of us. It challenged our media organisations as well. So I would like to make note that while we've done this submission, the city worked very hard to make sure that they could get their communications out, and your own role in that.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Humbled. Thank you. 1515, councillors, as presented by Councillor Turner. No dissent. Carried 8-0. Councillors, 1521 was pulled from the en bloc due to an impartiality as declared by the Deputy Mayor and also read earlier this evening. Does anyone need a clarification on the Deputy Mayor's role there? No, thank you. We have an officer recommendation that is presented. Councillors. Councillor Bodica, moving the officer recommendation. Seconder for the recommendation, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Bodica. No. Councillor O'Donnell. No. No further discussion. Any discussion? Councillor Winner. Speaking for or against?
Speaking for, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think, once again, while I'm in complete support of the Eastern Goldfields Cycle Club's 2024 Goldfields Cyclastic event, I think the officer recommendation in this is fair. Based on the information that's been provided to council, I'll be supporting the officer recommendation to go through in the support as outlined in the officer's recommendation. The event continues to be a very popular event, and it continues to be one that I'm very excited to see that the city continues to support, and the fact that it crosses our neighbours as well. It's a great partnership program as well. So I do hope our fellow councillors will vote in support of the officer's recommendation and see this event continue. And I look forward to seeing the results from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker for, speaker against. Councillor Bodica, you have the right of reply, not taken. No dissent, councillors, to 15.2.1, carried 8-0. 15.2.2 was part of the en bloc already approved this evening. 15.2.3, Family Daycare 174 Davis Street. We have an alternate recommendation from Councillor Turner, which is on your screen at this point in time. Councillor Turner, if you wish to state your alternate recommendation, please.
So I'd just like to move an alternate motion to the original officer's recommendation that has point 3 added in, which is that the outdoor child play area must not be used before 7 a.m. by children attending the family daycare.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Winner. Go ahead, Councillor Turner.
Okay, so firstly, fully supportive of having more daycare, whether it's family daycare or daycare run by organisation or a company. The reason I put this motion in is that it's actually just to streamline. It's actually already in our local laws that before 7 a.m. a business can't be making noise. So I think it just streamlines it. It makes it very clear, even if it's only 6 little children. I've had 6 little children at my own house and they can make quite a bit of noise outside. So it's not to stop the business operating earlier. It's just to be, let's say, proactive rather than reactive to any noise complaints that we may get. It's better to have this stuff all up. It doesn't stop the business going ahead at all. It just streamlines it all.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to commend Councillor Turner on this alternative motion. I think it's very fair. I like the fact that it is in line with our other family daycares that we're looking at and what we're trying to achieve across the city by keeping great options for care that continue to flow through while also being consciously aware of neighbours and neighbourhoods and potentially the noise factor that's come into play. It is very exciting for the city to have applications for care options for children within the city, given it's something that the city has sorely needed. So it's fantastic that we are able to come up with this alternative motion and that we are able to see, hopefully, this business and many others continue to set up shop here in Kalgoorlie and provide that care so we can continue to grow our workforces. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker for, speaker against, speaker for. Mover with the right of reply. None taken. Councillors, no dissent to the alternate motion with Councillor Turner. None taken. Carried unanimously 8-0. Item 15.2.4. This was pulled from the en bloc due to the fact that we received correspondence on this, which was from our agenda briefing last week. Do we have a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor Turner. Seconder. Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner.
Oh, while I'm doing the daycare motions, I might as well do them all. So, once again, fantastic that we are getting some more daycares and early learning centres in Kalgoorlie. I know it's been a constant problem for people being able to get their children into childcare, and I often see on the social media pages, and quite a few of them, people saying, moving to Kalgoorlie for a job, and they say, make sure you've got your childcare lined up before you come, or you could have a problem. And knowing myself having to sometimes have flexible hours because my daughter-in-law doesn't have daycare for her grandkids, so not that they attend this. So it's very, very important. I also would like to commend the proponent, who actually obviously took notice of our agenda briefing last week. So that was good to see that they were tuning in and watching. Looked at some of the questions that councillors asked and was very proactive in getting back and responding to those, so that we were organised in a timely manner. So it showed to me the importance of those agenda briefings, so that people know where council's heading and where they think. And I welcome further childcare entering the city.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think Councillor Turner has covered most of the points I was going to raise. The only other point I'd like to put in there is that the fact that we've managed to find a building which has been sitting there for a considerable amount of time. I know it's attracted some damage in the past, and potentially people squatting and whatnot. But the fact that the owner of the building has come up with this great concept to change the purpose of the land use to allow us to potentially move forward with one of the biggest barriers that faces our community, alongside accommodation in childcare, is a huge win for our city, and it's something I'm very excited to see continue to happen. And that's, as Councillor Turner has highlighted, there's a number of applications relating to childcare and daycare and early learning tonight, and it's just great to see, and I'm really excited to see more come through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against. Speaker for. Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will be speaking for this motion as well this evening. I think it's great that the city has a lot more childcare centres coming through. Hopefully the city trainees and the training that we provided, I think it was the end of last year, start of this year, hopefully we can find some employment for those people as well.
Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Speaker against. Speaker for. Speaker against. Mover has a right of reply. Not taken. Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. No dissent recorded, councillors. Therefore, carried 8-0. Item 15.2.5, I have declared a financial interest due to having children in a childcare facility owned by the applicant. I'll depart the chair for the Deputy Mayor and the room.
Okay, so I believe we have an alternative motion for this one as well, and if Councillor Turner, you would like to talk to that.
Okay, so not our alternative motion as such. I believe there was just some changes to the officer's recommendation. Is that true? It's an alternate amended motion, not alternate, amended motion. Yeah. So, the officer's recommendation as written, however, with the following changes to there's changes to point 2. There's 31 different points here. So changes to point 2, changes to point 4, the deletion of points 8, 9 and 10, changes to point 17, changes to point 18, the deletion of point 23, and I think the last one was the deletion of point 31. Is that correct? So there was quite a bit there, which I'll speak to a little bit later.
Could I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Winner.
Okay, so once again, welcoming more childcare in another disused piece of property that has been vacant for some time, and it's quite a substantial landholding and it's quite big. Now, it's important to note here that there's this land use, if you see it on the map, for those of you that are looking, it's got quite a big square, but it's in 2 parts, so it'll be cut in half. So once again, the proponents have had a listen to some of the questions that were asked last week for some clarification, and which is the resulting of some of these changes. There were some concerns about the location, fencing, parking, rights of way, and those kind of things. So they've taken that on board, and that's how we've been able to get some amendments with our officer's recommendation. This is a big childcare development. This is 90 places. I think, was it 90? 84 with 15 staff. So this is quite a substantial increase in our daycare and early learning centre, which is it's so important. It enables us to attract young families to be able to move here. It enables the current people that are working here. We've got so many skilled workers that have to stay home looking after children because they cannot access childcare. Previously, people did used to rely on family and grandparents, but in the current financial climate, a lot of grandparents work now. A lot of aunts and uncles work now. They don't have those family options. So to be able to have a development of this size going ahead it's really, really important because it enhances the livability of our city, which is so important, and it also may keep some of our young families here, and it might get some people back into the workforce that are skilled, and even if they're unskilled, they're willing to work, and they're very much needed in our city.
Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll be seconding this motion tonight, and my comments will echo that of Councillor Turner's. It's again, we've said of the last two items now that it's fantastic that the city has managed to see some more childcare options present themselves. I would like to highlight that tonight, councillors, we are being asked to consider a development application. We're not being asked to consider the merits, location. We're not being asked to consider staffing or anything like that. We are simply being asked to consider a development application for a brand new use of a premises which has been dormant to be changed into a childcare premises in a very strategic location in our city, close to our schools, close to some fantastic services like the Women's Refuge and a number of other services from there. So I would ask councillors to please consider the development application on its merits, and I do hope councillors do vote in favour of this tonight. Thank you.
Do we have a speaker for the motion? Councillor O'Donnell.
Point of clarification, please. With the amended motion, it was originally going to have access to the rear of the premises. Is there still access to the rear of the premises in that laneway?
Yes.
Yep.
But with that, I'll hand you over to the Director.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Part of the discussions with the applicant was around a condition that related to the upgrade of the laneway. In discussing that condition and its potential removal with the applicant, and also matters raised by council in relation to potential antisocial activity in the area. That one of the key amendments of the changes to the recommendation means that the access will be only by the front, so the crossover and driveway will be widened to allow dual entry, and the premises will be completely fenced from the rear.
Oh, that's good. That was my concern with that antisocial behaviour with a bottle shop right behind it. Thank you.
Speaker against the motion? Speaker
For the motion, but a question, if I may.
Speaker for the motion, Councillor Johnson.
Just to confirm one thing, that there is no need for the proponent to do anything with the rear laneway because that is no longer in play. And that's only because all access into this facility will be via Dugan Street.
That's correct, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you.
Speaker against the motion? Speaker for? The mover has the right to reply.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Johnson and Councillor O'Donnell for highlighting some of those important points of why there were some changes. Noting on the plan that, as we said, it's a development application, there looks like there's a further development application there, but let's point out that that is not in play at the moment for some housing. If that perhaps comes in play later on, there might be some works required to that right of way, but that's not part of this development at present, so we cannot treat that development, that one that we've got, that we're looking at now, we have to treat them separately, and if that may come to council further on, and we'll deal with that when it comes then.
Thank you. And if there's no further dissent, carried 7-0. Can we bring the Mayor back through? Thank you.
Councillors, next item tonight is 15.3.1 Golden Quest Discovery Trail. An absolute majority required for the Partnership Service Agreement. Do I have a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor Turner. Seconder, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Turner. Discussion.
Okay, so I'm very happy to move this motion. The Golden Quest Discovery Trail has been there for a while, but it's also a work in progress. It's actually very little funding that we give them towards something that's a great tourism project that our other local governments also collaborate on. And there's some really interesting information out there, and as it says in the report, some really rich historical, cultural and environment that expands the environmental landscape of the Gold Coast region over some 956 kilometres. And I urge any of our own residents to actually get out there and have a look, and not just our tourists. Some of our own residents might need to go and have a little bit of a look at this, and it's a very small outlay for council to make.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree 100% with Councillor Turner, exactly. And it's not just tourism as well, correct. The local residents need to get out there, and they themselves can help promote this, but it's very minimal for a very good quality project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Speaker 4, Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The only other comments I'd like to add into this is a project which, it's, for me personally, as a councillor, I love to see and love to support in the fact that it's a collaboration. It's a regional initiative, it's a regional collaboration. We're partnering, as the report outlines, with the shires of Coolgardie, Menzies, Leonora and Laverton to create a 956 kilometre trail for tourists and for residents in all those communities to be able to enjoy and be a part of. So I do hope councillors do support this. In terms of bang for buck, this is fantastic exposure for our community and our partner communities, and it's a great product that we can share across as a bit of a regional footprint. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker 4, Councillor Bodica.
Yeah, I just said I think it's going to be, a very good way for us to showcase our city and also our region. And, we love the region, so it's good for us to be able to be involved in this sort of thing. And for that amount of money, I don't think it's a lot for us to be, donating anyway. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica.
No
Speaker
brainer.
against? Speaker 4. Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Turner. None taken. No dissent, councillors. 15.3.1 is carried 8-0 with a full majority. Councillors, 15.4.1 was not part of the en bloc. That is to award tender number T014-2324, supply and construction of bitumen surfacing to tenderer A. Speaker, can I get a mover for that? Councillor Winner. Seconder. Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm very pleased that this is sitting before us tonight with the office recommendation. There's been an extensive backlog in our road renewal program, so to actually get some great traction and be looking to award a tender so we can get some action done is something that our community and our councillors and our staff are very keen to see happen. So I'd like to commend the city officers for getting it to this point and for assessing and finding a tenderer which does fit within the criteria and what the city expects and at a fair, reasonable price as well. So very excited to see this happen and further works to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to echo Councillor Winner's comments and sentiments there. It's always good when you see a tender come to council and that we can actually, in this challenging and competitive supply and construction phase that not just our region, our state and our whole country is going through, this is much needed and delayed works that need to be done. Looking after something that we spend a lot of money on as a city, one of our biggest budget items, and very important to not just maintenance, but also the presentation of our city. When things are not fixed, when our roads don't look good, when our footpaths are in states of disrepair, it leads to the overall presentation of our city is also lacking. So to have I'm also like Councillor Winner, I'm relieved to have this there and looking forward to being able to go, like many of our residents, a walk on some of those footpaths that will be the red asphalt ones. I'm looking forward to those, and driving around town with some better surfaces.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Johnson.
Just more of a point of, just a question, point of information. There is a confidential component in regards to this report, and I accept that, and that's where it should be. But when it comes down to the end part where we're awarding the tender, is there any reason why we can't name the successful candidate in there? Because I find that we have a lot of stuff also coming through council where there's stuff redacted. We have a bit of that, not necessarily with these tenders, but to put down the bottom down there, it's won by tenderer A. It would be nice to have the name of that successful tenderer in there, and it also gives them kudos themselves for putting up a fantastic tender and obviously helping our city out. Just a point of information, if I can.
Director, we'll refer that to the Director of Engineering. Thank you. Go ahead, Director. Would have been a great question for the agenda briefing last week. Go ahead, Director.
It would have, through the Mayor. We can't actually name the successful tenderer until we've signed the contract.
Thank you. No further personal explanations required. Excellent. Speaker for? Speaker against? Before the mover has right of reply, I'll be voting against this particular item. $23 million on roads as earmarked by the councillor. Sometimes local is not necessarily the best. I note that the quality of work has required from this particular tenderer the work to be repaired. I note that we have potentially had issues in the past. I can say that they have been resolved. However, the points that have been raised with me previously, noting that there has been a vast improvement in the last 6 months, I feel that as ratepayers, the added costs, the added implications to that further are not the levels that we should expect as elected members. Mover has a right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate the comments from around the table. I agree that us as our community should be setting that standard that we want to see, and the standard that we set on ourselves is the standard that others will also set on us. So it's fantastic to continue to see improvements, and I do encourage the community to continue to jump on the app and, you know, click send solve through to council so we can continue to address the matters as they pop through. And I'm very confident that our staff, through this motion, will continue to make all tenderers and all contractors accountable for the work that needs to be pushed through at the standard that the city, councillors and our community expect it to be at. So I do encourage councillors to please vote in support of this. We can only assess tenders as they come through, and by tenderers which are putting it through. We desperately need work done. There's ways that we can look at concerns as we go through that. So again, I reiterate, I'm very excited to see works commenced. We are extremely behind, so it'd be great to see safety return to our footpaths and our roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Do we note the departure and the arrival of Councillor Bodica for the minutes? Got that? Thank you. As there has been dissent recorded, councillors, those in favour, please raise your hand of the recommendation. 7. Those against? 1. Carried 7-1. Item 15.4.2 was carried en bloc. 15.4.3, Councillor Viskovich has declared a financial interest, and I'll get Councillor Viskovich to leave the room, please. And just for clarity purposes, that financial interest was due to the tender staff housing design and construction project as a business supplying for the tender as a client. Councillor Viskovich has left the room. Mover for the item 15.4.3. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Seconder? Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Turner, you wish to speak?
Yes, so this is another project that I believe was advertised several times before we had some interest come in. So it's one of importance. Staff housing is important to many businesses in Kalgoorlie, and the city is not isolated to that to attract staff. The fact that we have now had somebody come forward to get these houses underway, that it's been a long time project that we've had to move funds, I believe, into next year's budget because we won't be getting it done this year, is also to be noted. So I also believe that looking at the weighting, they're possibly a local contractor, which is actually which is great too, because our local builders are very busy. So I commend, this builder in particular, I don't think that they're lacking any work. So the fact that they've actually provided an interest into assisting the city here and helping us with our staff housing should also be commended, because I don't think they actually have to go out there and hunt the work.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor O'Donnell? No. Speaker 4. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The accommodation along with childcare continues to be the biggest concern within our city in terms of our opportunity to grow. We have other challenges, much like other communities, particularly around antisocial behaviour, homelessness, that the list can go on. But accommodation and childcare are the two forefronts by far. Tonight we've gone a long way to addressing the childcare side of it. And this, while it's only for a handful of homes, it does show that councils are looking at ways to diversify accommodation options in the city. There's been a number of projects of late which has been endorsed by council and supported to get off the ground. We have a number of projects which are close to commencing, which will see a number of housing options land on the market within our community. I note within the officer's report, the recommended tenderer has 15 properties alone that they're working through. So there's some great pipeline for our community. We're starting to see that clearer picture come through. We're starting to get that buy-in from both our local community and outside of our community to actually get some real runs on our board. So I do commend the officers for working this through. I do also identify, as Councillor Turner highlighted, that this has gone out a few times, so it's fantastic again to see this get some real runs and get the support and backing so the city can take a proactive approach as well to supporting and trying to look at housing options for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker 4? Speaker against? Speaker 4? Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Winner, for your comments, and the other councillors for hopefully their support on this. The other thing I would like to note here is in this process, because we did have to advertise several times, and it was a project that started before I came back on council and that councils worked through, we actually had to end up going to purchase a couple of houses, and which is great that we purchased those homes so that we had housing for our staff. However, purchasing existing homes does not help the housing issue in the city. Building and constructing homes shows that we as a city are prepared to be a driver in this market. The only way we can help our housing situation is that we need more homes. So I think the city should also be commended on being proactive to the construction of houses being prioritised over purchasing further houses. Purchasing further houses doesn't help anybody. We have to be a driver, and I know that other levels of government are also attempting to the same kind of thing, but we need to lead the way here. So this is a very important project.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. No dissent from this item, councillors. Carried 7-0. May I please have Councillor Viskovich back in the chamber? Councillors, item 16, questions of which due notice has been given. There are nil. Just before we do move into confidential items, councillors, and also just to state for the record, there were 3 items that were presented from the CEO committee earlier this evening. note that they are committee recommendations that have been moved this evening. So we just wanted to clarify that. There was probably limited commentary on your information provided, but that is to note committee recommendations this evening. 17 is confidential items. Can I get a mover to go into confidential, please? Councillor Bodicar. Second to Councillor O'Donnell. No discussion. No dissent. Carried 8-0 that we move into camera. Thank you very much, councillors. For, well, press, media, Tegan. We will... I have to move across a little bit. Thank you. Thank you to those who have been awaiting on our live stream and also via our gallery. Council considered 2 items under confidentiality this evening. One of those related to the CEO annual review and the other related to 101 Brookman Street EOI on demolition. I have the authority from the CEO to read his recommendation publicly. That Council endorse the following changes to the CEO's contractual entitlements. A 5% base salary increase calculated against total current salary and superannuation. B, an increase of regional isolation allowance from $15,000 per annum to $30,000 per annum. And C, an additional 1 day per calendar month of non-cumulative personal leave which can be taken in the relevant month and as from the date of adoption by Council. Item 2A, Council authorise the CEO to travel at city cost with a maximum budget of $20,000 to be expended on the CEO's return flights as well as conference expenses, including accommodation, transport, meals, ticket and associated expenses, and attend the local government Chief Executive Officers group meeting being held in New Zealand in February 2025, noting the CEO's intent to take annual leave. And item 2B, that the CEO report on return within 4 weeks to Council. That was carried unanimously 8-0 by Council. Item 17.2, considered in confidentiality, is relating to 101 Brookman Street EOI on demolition. That Council note the outcome of the EOI for the demolition works on 101 Brookman Street and defer going out to tender awaiting the outcome of the EOI for purchase of 101 Brookman Street. That again was carried at 8-0. Date of the next meeting will be held on the will be in May. Noting that the time of closure for this evening is 8:40 p.m. Can I thank those in attendance, media, staff and elected members, and have a very good evening, and may, lest we forget, Anzac Day on Thursday.